What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with 12 weeks out physique update from Good Vito. So literally everyone who has qualified for this year's Mr. Olympia, they are now in the prep mode. And Good Vito is gonna enter this competition with some of the biggest expectations from the fans, even though this is gonna be just his Olympia debut. And the reason for that high expectation is that he's among one of the most genetically gifted athletes in the men's open bodybuilding right now. And he was getting featured on bodybuilding pages even before he turned pro because of his unreal proportions. And up until last year, he kind of had this reputation of being an Instagram bodybuilder. But that was completely changed when he stepped on the stage last year at the Arnold Brazil and especially at Detroit Pro. And the man looked so competitive next to some top Olympians like Rafael, Tony Burton, and especially Martin Fitzwater. Now this year it's gonna be a different ball game when it comes to Good Vito. He looks bigger, more mature, more muscular overall, with better aesthetics, better shape, and possibly better conditioning compared to his past, as he has now more detail overall. In his quads, his back has improved a lot, and not many people mention this. His back lat spread is one of the best out there, as the man has a lot of work in that back lat spread shot. Top to bottom, he's very complete in that back shot. Now, it was kind of unfortunate for all of us, and for Good Vito himself too, that he was unable to show up for the Pittsburgh Pro this year, because he was aiming to come in much better and much more conditioned than his Arnold Brazil look this year. But that being said, the man looks totally unbelievable right now, both in terms of size and that crazy kind of condition for 12 weeks out. And this is a type of physique who can 100% turn out to be the dark horse for this upcoming Mr. Olympia. So do you guys think Good Vito can become the breakout star at this year's Mr. Olympia, like Martin Fitzwater last year? Next up, we have an update from the Persian Wolf, Hadi Chopan. 12 weeks out of this year's Mr. Olympia, the guy who has the ability to come in with the sharpest looking conditioning based on his track record. And I think all of us can agree that Hadi is always the most conditioned guy, even when he is off by his own standards. And he looks so massive right now in this update. And as per Hadi, this is just about 50% of his full potential. And I'm gonna say I truly believe him. So he's gonna get stronger in the upcoming weeks. And he's about to make some big changes in his physique, literally every week from here onwards, as the man always gets ready when he is at 4 to 6 weeks out mark from the Olympia. Now let's set the record straight. Hadi was kind of off at the Olympia last year, especially in comparison to his own standards. Now if we do not compare him by his own personal best, which was either Van Pro back in 2019 or the Arnold Ohio last year, then he wasn't off by any means or any standard. How about this to freshen up your memory? That Hadi not being at 100%, he was still tied with Samson Dauda at the prejudging on the scorecards. So a lot of people say that Hadi has very little room to grow in terms of improvements and how much more muscle he can pack on his frame. The thing is, people said the same thing back in 2023 after the Olympia that year, that he's gonna get blocky if he tries to get bigger. And the man proved all his critics and naysayers completely wrong at the Arnold Ohio next year. So Hadi Chopan has a lot to improve when it comes to his back shots. And him taking the whole year off, knowing what are the strengths of his competition, he's most likely gonna show up with a better back to challenge guys like Derek and the Mutant. Now it's a trend with Hadi Chopan that his back has never looked as sharp as his front. Now could we see this kind of change in Hadi Chopan come October? Because if that does happen, that is gonna be a very big game changer for him. So Hadi is definitely one of the favorites to win this year's Olympia title. And let's just pray that he doesn't become a victim of the political war between the two regions and he gets his US visa without any hurdles. So Tampa Pro lineup just got another very fierce competitor, one of the youngest men's open IFBB pro, Emir, a conditioning freak. So he has been prepping for Tampa Pro and most probably for Texas Pro too. And the shocking thing is that at 2 weeks out, he's weighing 288 pounds. And if we take a look at his contest history from the past, this guy is ready weeks out of the show and the man always comes in shredded to the bone. So his last show was the Big Man Weekend back in 2024, where he placed in the top 3. So it seems like Emir has put on some real size during this past off-season. So he's a guy with a very big frame, and this comparison of him standing next to Rafael Brandao is a proof of that. Now he doesn't have those round muscle bellies like Tonio Burton, but he has a lot of width over Tonio Burton, and we saw that last year in California Pro. And that is the show where Emir placed second behind Tonio Burton, his highest placing so far. I think Emir's biggest weakness, that is his midsection. There is something about that lower abdominal area which kind of throws off the flow of his entire physique, especially in those first 2 front shots. So this guy's training style, that is as close as it can be to Branch Warren. But the thing is, that works for him. So add Emir in the mix and a potential contender to win Tampa Pro this year. So this is how the reigning 212 Olympia champion Keone Pearson and Rafael Brandao are looking at 12 weeks out of the big dance. And this particular picture that gives us a pretty good idea on how far ahead of the schedule Keone Pearson truly is. The difference in the depth and the detail on the quads of both these guys, they are so drastic. And it's logical for Rafael Brandao to stay big at 12 weeks out because he's competing in a division where size is one of the biggest factors, one of the biggest criterias in terms of where you're gonna land. While Keone Pearson, on the other hand, he's the undisputed king of the 212, not only of the current times. 90% of the fans agree that he's the best 212 physique to have ever stepped on the Olympia stage, and there is currently no competition for him in the 212. However, these guys are guaranteed to compete against each other in the future down the line when Keone finally makes the switch and competes with the big boys. So the biggest challenge for Rafael Brandao, that is to get into the best condition of his career, meaning he has to beat his Arnold Ohio look from last year, and also come in bigger and thicker and denser in all the right areas for this upcoming Mr. Olympia, as he has now started to pick up the pace, and the man does look pretty damn solid here. So 2 of these stars, they're gonna be prepping for the upcoming Mr. Olympia in Flex vs Gym, and that means the fans are gonna get to see more content from these guys leading into this year's Mr. Olympia. So Keone Pearson's hamstrings and the glutes, they are looking way too good for 12 weeks out. Next up, we have a 2 weeks out physique update from Beef Stu. So he wasn't looking very impressive all throughout this prep. But that is the one thing people need to understand. When it comes to certain physiques, not all the IFBB pros out there, they have this ability to look very hard and very shredded at, let's say, 8 weeks out. And this isn't always the best approach. And Stu is a guy who made this mistake of getting ready too early for the New York Pro last year. And then he paid the price because he completely burned out during the later phase of his competition run last year. You only have to look great and on the money on the day of the show. And these are easily the most impressive physique updates posted by Beef Stu throughout this year. And there is something very noticeable about his entire physique. He starts to get very streamlined and very aesthetic as he gets leaner and show ready. Overall, he develops a very good flow, and his aesthetics also start to look very impressive. So the New York Pro look of Beef Stu, that was a very impressive one. The lineup itself, that was just simply too deep last year. That top 4 was the highest placing he could have get at that show. So now that he's making his return after a gap of 1 year, as the last show that he did, that was Run Pro last year, and he's coming back in one of the most competitive lineups of this year. And that is the beauty of this upcoming Tampa Pro. There are potentially 5 to 6 guys who can possibly win this show. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.